Hello, this is Martha Hines with Living the One Light. Today I'm recording on my iPad as opposed to my phone because technical issues. So the view is a little different. But what I am being called to talk about today is the new moon coming up next Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. There's a new moon coming up in Taurus, 21 degrees Taurus. And the new moon is going to be conjunct Black Moon Lilith, depending on whether you're using the true Black Moon Lilith or the mean Black Moon Lilith. Anyway, technical differences. But I'm choosing to feel into this new moon as being conjunct the Black Moon Lilith, because either way it's close-ish. And I just feel called to feel into it that way. And the other thing, two other things that I'm feeling called to kind of speak to all at the same time with this new moon are also that on that same, at the same time of the new moon, Chiron and Mars will be in a square at 11 degrees. Chiron will be at 11 degrees Aries, and Mars will be at 11 degrees Cancer. And then a couple of days later, the other thing that feels significant here is that Jupiter is going to be entering Pisces for just 2 degrees. And then it's going to retrograde back into Aquarius. And then, you know, for next year, it'll go back into Pisces and go through all of Pisces. But so I was just dropping into the energies of this new moon and what's arising for me in the potential of these energies, which again, you know, like any kind of energies, it's like clay. You can kind of make almost anything out of that clay. And so when I think of these energies as being just motions of the divine, and we are motions of the divine, the energy of what's going on in the cosmos is going to move with the energy that is us in infinite ways. And so this is not a prescription or a prediction or a me claiming that this is how it is. It's just what happens to be moving in me and what I'm feeling called to share about what might move for you and what might move in the world. And yeah, it just feels beautiful and exciting. So what I'm feeling with these energies is, first of all, with that new moon in Taurus, conjunct Black Moon Lilith in particular, there's this theme of embodiment and of coming into our whole selves, coming into even the parts of ourselves that maybe we have suppressed or have been suppressed by society, or that we feel ashamed about, or that this is the Black Moon Lilith energy. But Taurus also has a quality of being about the body and about being about self-value and about being really present and grounded in ourself, and in particular in like a contentment in the here and the now, and you know, with the physical world and with our senses and with our self-love in a certain way. So this Black Moon Lilith energy is so powerful, and she's one of the goddesses that that speak in the Goddesses Speak book that I channeled last summer, and that I'm hoping I'll get the green light to publish soon. It's going to be the 5th book in the Living the One Light series. The first 3 books are published on Amazon, and then I'm working on the second set of 3. So Goddesses Speak is one of those. And and Lilith is one of the goddesses that speaks in that book. And again, her energy can manifest as many things for us, but in particular, what's so exciting and beautiful to me about how her energy can manifest as us or in us is it can be an energy that we experience as our power, essentially, like our and she's called a version of the quote unquote dark feminine. I don't know how I feel about that terminology exactly, but she represents mythologically often the energy of the feminine, the powerful feminine that has been ostracized and that has been kicked out of marriage with Adam. The story, I'll just give you the brief kind of typical story that I know, which is that she was supposedly Adam's first wife before Eve, and Adam wanted to basically have sex with her and wanted her to lie down, I don't know, missionary position or something, and have his way with her. This is, again, I'm sure there are many versions of the story, and this is just the one that I know and that I'm feeling called to speak to. But if you know other ones that speak to you, that's great too. So, but in this story, essentially Adam asks Lilith to be his woman, lie down, let me have my way with you sexually, and then we'll move on. And she says, no, I'm your equal. I'm a powerful goddess. Absolutely not. That's not going to happen. And she stands in her power. She stands in her truth. And, as essentially one half of, or all of, the manifestation of the divine. I'm present as the divine, and I can't treat myself as anything other than that. So then, as the story goes, she leaves, and then essentially is sort of banished from the Garden of Eden, or from accepted society, and then Adam marries Eve, who theoretically, again, many versions of these stories, I'm sure, but Eve maybe represents the feminine that's more willing to be subservient, or etc. And so when we think of Lilith, what often comes up is the sense of the part of the feminine that's been ostracized by patriarchy, not just by men, but by women, by the feminine even. And parts of ourselves, really the way I think of is parts of ourselves maybe that are shadowed in us, or that we're scared of, or that we don't fully breathe into in our bodies, and maybe we don't fully acknowledge, or we just try not to think about that thing, or maybe there are parts of ourselves that we aren't as comfortable with. Maybe sometimes we have a lot of rage or something, or we, certainly sexual trauma is associated with this archetype. And anytime where we've felt less than the divine that we are. But then what she also represents is the energy in us that comes back and wakes back up and comes back fully into our bodies and fully, re-embodies all of who we are, including the quote unquote shadow parts, the parts that have been more difficult for us. And so that when we're living in ourselves, in this physical body, but then also in our energetic body and ourselves as infinity, that we can re-embody ourselves as the infinite divine entirely, not just as the feminine, but also as the everything, the masculine, the feminine, the non-binary, the all that is source, that is light, that is the divine, that is God. So that energy is sitting there with this new moon in Taurus next week, and that's so powerful. She us she is us, so she is beautiful and powerful, and she's been gone for a long time, and here she is. Here I am, here you are, regardless of what gender we identify as. We are all her. We are all of these archetypes and all of these energies. And then when I think of the other energies going on at the time of this new moon, I noticed that, like I said, Chiron is going to be squaring Mars. Mars is going to be squaring Chiron. So Mars is going to be at 11 degrees Cancer, and Chiron has been sitting at 11 degrees Aries for a while. Moves slower. So Mars in Cancer is a really interesting combination of energies. And it can be about protection of our inner selves. It's sort of, Mars represents the masculine, and yet Cancer is a very feminine energy, theoretically. It can represent the mother, it can represent home, it can represent our like most vulnerable inner selves, truth of who we are on a most vulnerable level. And so Mars can be the protector of that, that tender heart, or the tender part of us that just needs to be cradled. And it can be other things, but that's the energy that's really coming to me in this moment to speak to. And then Chiron in Aries is, Chiron is in Aries for many, many years right now, because again, it moves relatively slowly, but it to me represents also this opportunity in our collective to move into a healing of the divine masculine, or a healing, just healing in general, but with it being in Aries is like a prayer or a wish of the divine that is us to work on this healing of why did Adam, this is totally metaphorical, not literal, but why did quote unquote Adam, us as Adam, us as this patriarchal idea, expect Lilith to be subservient and then banish her when she's refusing to do that? Why did she feel the need to bail or escape or hide? And again, I'm very, very, very adamant that we are all of these energies. It's not that I am female and therefore I am Lilith and I am not Adam and I am mad at men. Like that, I've been there, done that 25 years ago in my life, and that's not where I am anymore. I really feel strongly that, yes, as a female person in a human female body, I definitely have experienced typically dynamics that are typical in this world between the masculine and the feminine that suck for the feminine. And at the same time, and I fully acknowledge that 1000%. I worked a lot as a therapist with people of all genders who have, experienced a lot of sexual trauma or other kinds of trauma and horrific trauma. I'm way beyond anything I've experienced personally, but that was my work for a long time, was working as a therapist and a social worker in that kind of setting. And so I'm not dismissing that reality at all. And I feel really strongly that, when we've got, like, for example, this set of energies of Chiron and Aries, representing like the wounded masculine, the healing, wounded teacher healer, with Mars in Cancer, so like this masculine protector of potentially, that tender part of ourselves, on a new moon in Taurus, conjunct Black Moon Lilith. I mean, it's like, it's the masculine and the feminine, with the feminine in a certain sense. And so it's like, we're all coming together, like all parts of ourselves, all parts of the divine are all sitting here. In a sense, you could say, like, cradling ourselves, or, sitting in council and being really ready and committed to whatever the next best thing is. If you ever watched Frozen 2, I actually really like that movie, but my kids like it a lot, in particular my daughter. And yeah, that song, The Next Best Thing, honestly, I really like that song. I think it's good. And I think that the message in it is really true. We do the next best thing, like that. Well, that's all we can do, in each and every moment. Yeah, so as a collective, but then also as the divine, like, we are all manifestations of, like, a crystalline form, or whatever you want to say. Like, we are all versions of divinity and of source itself. And so we're playing out this moment, and in these energies of this, what we see in astrology, or when we look at what's going on in our particular solar system, there's energies way beyond that, infinitely beyond that, but we're just going to look at just these energies. Yeah, I just feel this really beautiful, tender moment of coming together, like our masculine selves holding our feminine selves, and the parts of us that have been held down and are ready and wanting and needed to come back up. And then the last thing I feel called to say is, today I had a really beautiful session with me as the client, with an old friend of mine who's also an amazing healer, and her name is Debs Shakti. She has really beautiful sessions. Recommend her. And in this session with me, something came up that I feel called to name with these energies of the new moon, which is, because I think it applies to probably all of us at one time or another, which is this distinction between, well, there's both this, this Black Moon Lilith energy, that the energies of us that need to come back up. And then there's also an energies that we're continually needing to prune. So I had this image come up in the session of me as the trunk of a tree. And I wasn't thinking about Black Moon Lilith I wasn't thinking about these astrological things for next week, but the same image came up when I was feeling into the energies for next week. So I feel called to name this image, because again, I think it might apply or feel resonant for other people, maybe for you. But so I was feeling myself as the trunk of a tree, and feeling like I'm getting to the top of this trunk of this tree, and that I'm at the top, and I'm about to, in a sense, like sprout out into the infinite expanse of the branches that literally go through infinity. So what comes up for me when I think of the energies of next week are that the Black Moon Lilith energy in this new moon in Taurus is like, it's like an energy of, we need all the nutrients and all the water and all the strength of that trunk we need ourselves to essentially relax and allow all of that nutrition and all of that substance to feed into the trunk that is us, right? And like come up and like be really present and fully flowing, like fully in the flow of that. And then at the same time, as a lot of us talk about a lot, is we also feel these things that are ready to let go. Like earlier this week, I channeled a meditation, a prayer message that was about, nothing is ever lost. So in the infinity of existence, when we let things go, sometimes we can feel scared that they get lost and that we are going to lose something or someone or whatever it is. And so this prayer message was a reminder that when we let go of things, we're releasing it back into infinity. And infinity is us. And infinity is always right here. So there's nothing to lose. And we aren't losing anything. It's just with this image of the tree, that the feeling I get is that, there are times when certain branches are needing to be pruned. So like what Debs said in this session with me earlier today is, we can get to the point where one of these branches was giving a lot, it was very vibrant and really alive. And then it gets to a point where it's just not. And so energetically, we come along beautiful intentions and just, with prayers and gratitude, we prune the branches that are no longer needed, and then watch that branch fall to the ground and disintegrate into dirt and become, compost for the tree that is us. And so I feel in these energies like a need to acknowledge both the allowing back in of what has maybe been suppressed, at the same time that we're also letting go of, like continuously letting go of the energies that no longer serve this particular tree that is us in this moment. But even the things that we've suppressed have always been here. They've never gone away. They've always been in existence. And then similarly, the things that we let go of never go away. They just circulate back into existence, but dissolve into and can become free to be source itself. It always is source itself, but can just dissipate back into source itself and reconfigure into something else if it needs to do that. So that's the main image I'm getting with this new moon. And yeah, I think that pretty much completes what I feel called to say about that at the moment. But I'm going to be doing a second video, a channeled version of, a more personalized version of whatever's supposed to come through regarding this new moon for my Patreon members. And I love making the videos for Patreon members. I really do, because I don't know, I just feel it's a different energy. It's different energetic. And I feel like a certain resonance, because I can think of the particular people, and I just feel this really strong, intense love that pours through my heart, like for those specific people. And it's really enjoyable for me, like truly, truly enjoyable. And I really appreciate that opportunity. And I think that's a big part of why I felt called to start the Patreon page, because it's a particular quality of enjoyment that I feel thinking of that, those individuals, and letting the energy come through that's specifically meant for them. I mean, and this is great too. I love doing this too, but I love, like, this feels more like it's going to dissipate into existence, and whoever is meant to hear it here and now, or throughout any and all time when YouTube videos exist, it's absolutely meant for you. And it absolutely is such a pleasure to make these as well. But yeah, when I make the Patreon videos, I feel like this direct line connection, which is just really fun. Feels really good for me. So anyway, you can find the link to Patreon on this description, or Living the One Light on Patreon. You can also link to it on my website, which is livingtheonelight.com. And that's it. Be in touch with any thoughts, suggestions. You can make an appointment with me also on my website, livingtheonelight.com. I have a questionnaire that's also on the website. Anyway, feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you so much. See you soon.